Pierce City family raises awareness for a rare genetic disorder. I'm Zach Dodge with the story.
Plus, four-staters in Carthage beat the winter blues and make something to keep warm with by participating in a quilting class. We're checking out the fun.
President-elect Joe Biden announcing a plan for faster vaccine distribution to the states. In New York, I'm Alex Hogan. I have the details coming up.
Meteorologist Nick Kelly has your weather. Sports director Jacob Leonard joins us for sports. I'm Mike Mahoney, and this is your KOAM News at 9 on Fox 14.
The four states' most watched news starts now.
Well, thanks as always for tuning in. A Pierce City, Missouri family is working to raise awareness for a rare genetic disorder. It's been diagnosed in less than 70 people around the world, and the family's 3-year-old son is one of them. KOAM Zach Dodge has that story.
What would you do if your baby had a seizure and no one knew why?
He almost kind of unlearned everything. Like he stopped eating, he couldn't use a utensil, he couldn't set up on his own.
A terrifying thing for brand new parents Elizabeth Hilton and Justin Camtrell.
Doctors were telling us that wasn't something that can happen. Seizures don't cause that.
So they took their 6-month-old baby Patrick to Children's Mercy in Kansas City, hoping for some answers.
But we'll try the ER. We'll see what happens, see what they do, just to go in immediately.
It wasn't until close to a year later that they learned Patrick was diagnosed with DeSanto-Shinawi syndrome, a rare genetic disorder that causes developmental delay, intellectual disability, behavioral problems, feeding difficulty, and seizures.
It's a bit of a relief when we got the diagnosis, but it's definitely been its challenges for sure. The learning curves, those are pretty tough. Trying to see, you do things repetitively and don't get any results, and it's a little hard to take from time to time, but whenever those results show up, then there's nothing else can replace it.
With less than 70 diagnosed cases in the world, it makes it hard to find treatment even for the symptoms, something they're working to change. They organized Dash for Dash, a run and walk aimed at raising funds for research on treatments and diagnosis, with the personal goal of raising awareness so other parents don't have to go through what they did.
When you go to these doctor visits and they don't know anything, they're like, well, here's this Facebook group. That's all you get with a rare disease. And so we want to do something to help change that.
In Pierce City, Zach Dodge, KOAM News.
This was the very first Dash for Dash event held in Pierce City. If you want to learn more about the DeSanto-Shinawi Syndrome Foundation, we have a link to it in this article on our website. That's KOAMnewsnow.com. All right, time for a look at your first weather. Here is meteorologist Nick Kelly.
Just another typical January day, Mike. We had some cloud cover off and on throughout the day, but that didn't stop temperatures from just staying cold. We started in the lower 20s, believe it or not, this morning, and only made it to about 35, 36 degrees, below our average high of 44 this afternoon. We are continuing to see partly to mostly cloudy skies in place for tonight, while our next storm system is really southern Oklahoma's and Texas's next storm system. They're going to get quite a bit of snow as that storm system passes well to our south, but we'll use that to keep some cloud cover around for tomorrow to wrap up the weekend. In the meantime, though, upper 20s to near 30 degrees across much of the area, and I think we aren't going to be dropping off much more from here on out. We'll keep overnight lows around 26. Then we're looking okay going into tomorrow with partly sunny to mostly cloudy skies, highs back in the upper 30s. We'll break down the week ahead of us coming up in a bit, Mike.
Thanks so much, Nick Kelly. One thing that is sure to help beat the winter blues is getting together with some good friends for some good old-fashioned quilting. Today, some quilters got together in Carthage to craft something to keep themselves warm and lift some spirits. The Quilters Corner Station in Carthage offered a hook rug and sunflower stand class that several four-staters decided to take advantage of.
Then once you learn the basic craft, then everything becomes your own, because I may not choose a color that someone else would, and then you just see people bloom and grow. And I mean, some of my students that have been in here, it's fun. They're like, can I do this? Can I do that? And I'm like, yes, do it.
And that quilting class cost $40. States are still lagging behind their COVID-19 vaccination goals, but they are beginning to pick up the pace with senior living centers and other high priority groups. Fox News' Alex Hogan has the latest on the rollout effort.
More states have started getting the vaccine to seniors living at long-term care facilities. Around 700,000 residents and workers have gotten their first shot. They were part of the CDC's first recommended group, along with healthcare workers.
That should be one of the priorities and target, and it is, because that's where many of the deaths are occurring.
Friday, the agency softens its stance a bit, recommending states also begin vaccinating Group 1B, which includes essential workers and anyone over the age of 75. So far, fewer than 7 million Americans have been vaccinated. 22 million doses have been shipped to the states, that number lagging behind expectations.
Vaccines give us hope, but their rollout has been a travesty.
To speed up the process, President-elect Biden is calling for immediate distribution of the nation's current vaccine supply. That is a departure from the Trump administration's strategy of stockpiling doses to make sure there's enough for everyone to get a second shot. That's where the vaccine becomes 95% effective.
If we got access to a large number of doses, I think that would allow us to expand our distribution greatly and to utilize some of those places where people normally go to get vaccinated, like where you go to get your flu. So your doctor's office, your pharmacy, community health centers.
Biden's plan would count on a consistent supply from Moderna and Pfizer to ensure that all states have enough doses for those second vaccines. In New York, Alex Hogan, Fox News.
There are new requirements for international travelers entering England. The UK Department of Transport is requiring all arrivals to show proof of a negative coronavirus test taken 72 hours before departure. Arriving passengers who are unable to show proof will face a $678 fine. Additionally, anyone coming from a country not on the UK's acceptable travel list will have to quarantine for 10 days despite proof of a negative test. The new regulations come amid an outbreak of a new coronavirus strain spreading quickly throughout Great Britain. British residents are also facing a new lockdown as of Wednesday that requires them to stay at home unless for essential travel such as work. Queen Elizabeth received the COVID-19 vaccine today. The British monarch and her husband, Prince Philip, got the shot together at Buckingham Palace. The Queen is 94 years old and Philip is 1 year short of 100. According to a royal source, the pair were given the shot by a Windsor Castle residence doctor. The Queen and the Duke of Edinburgh say they wanted to make the news public to counter any speculation about the safety of the vaccine. It's now time for us to honor one of our many four-state heroes, and tonight we pay tribute to Paul Bernanke of Chanute, Kansas. Paul served as a Master Sergeant in the U.S. Army, and he fought in World War II. He earned a World War II Victory Medal and many other honors. Thank you, sir, for your service and for fighting for freedom. For more information on all our four-state heroes, or to nominate your own, just log on to KOAMNewsNow.com. And we'll be right back with meteorologist Nick Kelly on another look at your weather. Plus, the weekend weather and record-breaking snowfall in Spain is making our four-state area winter look like a walk in the park. We're learning about the snowy situation in Madrid right after weather.
Another typical January day with a cold start this morning and staying cold this afternoon. At the very least, we saw some sunshine over indigo sky outside of Seneca, Missouri. After we saw at least a little bit of mist on the lens this morning, then we broke out and saw at least some sunshine behind the cloud cover that stuck around today. A little bit cooler compared to yesterday, though. We were pushing into the upper 30s. We dropped back into the lower 20s this morning. And again, a cold afternoon for sure, but we're going to be trending upward on the thermostat as we go through the next several days. In fact, we stay cold for tomorrow, followed by 40s returning for a cool Monday. And above normal temperatures for the middle of the week, I'm thinking lower to middle 50s for highs, especially for Wednesday and Thursday. Then we'll see our next system in here by next weekend. While that could give us a few random rain or snow showers, that's primary job is going to cool us back down by the time next weekend gets here. So quite a bit of up and down activity with temperatures on the way, but we are definitely down with Joplin already at 26 degrees with an east breeze 3 miles per hour. I think this is where we're primarily going to sit for the rest of the night. Most spots around the Joplin metro in the upper 20s already. And same goes for the entire 4-state region, upper 20s to near 30 degrees. So I think this is where we're going to pretty much hold steady for the rest of the night as we keep the cloud cover in place with more building in from the west and that light breeze out of the north at 5 to 10 miles per hour. It's the same breeze that we've had all day long. That will stick with us for tonight. Looking at the big picture though on the Skywatch storm tracker, we have our next systems with snow out in Colorado and developing snow across New Mexico. That, however, is staying close to a surface low working through New Mexico, and that's going to stay well to the south of us. So will the upper low working out of Colorado and New Mexico. Well, that keeps the snow to the south, that keeps cloud cover in here and keeping us cold for your Sunday. Then we'll start to see signs of this upper ridge building out across the western U.S. and the Pacific start to influence our temperatures by the middle of the week. So we'll see this first upper low pass well to the south with snow across parts of Texas and some snow even pushing as far south as Houston. Something you really don't see a lot of every winter across the lower 48. That could be as much as 6 inches of snow for parts of Texas, if not a little bit more. For us, though, we stay dry as this low passes on. Then we see the jet slips back to the north, pushing us into the 50s for Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. Then, sticking with Doug's pattern, we'll see another quick system in here on Friday. Again, maybe a few random rain or snow showers Friday morning, but that will primarily take us out of the 50s and back into the 40s for a cool weekend ahead of us. For tonight, though, let's just keep the cloud cover in place and temperatures pretty much steady. Most of us holding firm right around 26 degrees with that north breeze light at 5 miles per hour. By lunchtime, a little bit more in the way of sun, but still that north breeze with that system passing to the south. We'll stay cold, 34 by noon. Afternoon highs around 38 and Joplin across the rest of the area. I plan on lower 40s for your Monday after we start cold at 23. Let's say 41 on your Monday, 52 Tuesday, middle to upper 50s for Wednesday and Thursday. We better enjoy it, Mike, before we see highs back in the 40s come Friday.
All right, thanks so much, Nick Kelly. And Nick, I've got a little bit of international weather news right here. Record-breaking amounts of snow have left many people on the road in Spain trapped in their cars. The country is on high alert as a cold snap drops snow from Storm Filomena Friday night and into today. The weather was so bad the military deployed earlier today to help drivers who got stuck in their vehicles. Travel on nearly 400 roads was disrupted and all flights in and out of Madrid were canceled. The country's weather agency says snow in large parts of Spain could reach 8 inches and up to 20 inches in some mountainous areas. Storm Filomena is expected to weaken and move out of the area by Sunday. All right, right after this short break, we have got the latest from our nation's capital.
A fierce debate on Capitol Hill about what happened during Wednesday's riot and who's to blame. I'm Lauren Blanchard in Washington with more on what lawmakers are saying about possibly impeaching President Trump.
House Democrats are drafting impeachment charges against President Trump, but their leader, Nancy Pelosi, says she'd like to see the president resign before things get that far. Fox News' Lauren Blanchard has the latest.
House Democrats are moving forward with their attempt to remove the president from office, while Twitter has permanently removed President Trump from its platform. The @RealDonaldTrump Twitter account permanently suspended. Twitter says its decision is due to the risk of further incitement of violence following the riots Wednesday. At the Capitol, Speaker Nancy Pelosi said, quote, "It is the hope of members that the president will immediately resign. And if he does not, the House Democrats drafting articles of impeachment are accusing President Trump of incitement of insurrection." The draft goes on to say, quote, "He threatened the integrity of the democratic system, interfered with the peaceful transition of power, and imperiled a coordinate branch of government." The White House and some Republicans say impeachment will only further divide the country. The Senate would have to have a 2/3 supermajority vote to convict.
That is not the solution to what is happening here.
We cannot heal our country if we just ignore what happened on Wednesday.
President-elect Joe Biden says he'll leave the impeachment decision to Congress, and he is glad President Trump will not be attending his inauguration.
I am focused now on us taking control as president and vice president on the 20th, and to get our agenda moving as quickly as we can.
While Democrats say they will introduce the articles as early as Monday, there is no timetable yet as to how quickly they would be brought to the floor for a vote. In Washington, Lauren Blanchard, Fox News.
Still to come, you'll learn about a special kind of COVID-19 patient being treated by a hospital in Alabama. They're called the COVID convalescents, and they are people who had COVID-19 and are no longer carrying the disease, but still suffering from the virus's long-term effects. That story and more are next. An Alabama hospital is caring for patients known as the COVID convalesced. They're people who have had COVID-19 and are no longer carrying the virus, but still suffering from some of its long-term effects. Fox News' Lauren Jackson talked to a doctor at that hospital.
We see a lot of different reasons.
Latest numbers show UAB Hospital is caring for 210 patients with active COVID-19 infections. But they're also caring for an additional 84 patients who are no longer carrying the virus, but still dealing with its effects and needing hospital care.
How we are testing all patients on admission for COVID-19, we are capturing a lot of people that are pre-symptomatic, meaning they don't have symptoms and then they develop symptoms.
UAB epidemiologist Dr. Rachel Lee says the patients are called COVID convalesced. And she says someone may be considered a convalesced patient for many different reasons.
There are a few that are completely asymptomatic and they're here for a different reason, and then they've recovered from their COVID-19 illness and then are continuing to get the care that they need for their original reason that they're here.
But Dr. Lee says not all convalesced patients are recovering quickly.
The vast majority of these cases are people that are critically ill, meaning that they're still on the ventilator. And unfortunately, because of COVID-19, you've developed an inflammatory response, meaning your own immune system has revved up and then you get scarring in your lungs. And because of that, we can't get them off of the ventilator.
Dr. Lee says if they are eventually taken off the ventilator, they're weak and need rehabilitation.
The vast majority is these patients that unfortunately have a lot of scarring in their lungs and it takes time to heal.
Frontline workers in Texas got a much-needed pick-me-up as a crowd of people cheered them on before their shift. Folks in College Station came out during a shift change at the Baylor Scott & White Medical Center emergency room entrance and let the applause, cheers, and heartfelt appreciation flow down to the nurses and doctors entering the building. The line of grateful people even included the College Station Fire Department. One fire department official says he recognizes the difficulties healthcare workers everywhere face during upticks in the coronavirus spread and feels it's their turn to receive some love while they give aid and care to others.
They're getting overrun right now with everything that's going on. We want to be here to show that we support them. We appreciate what they do. We're proud of what they do, and it's just it's an honor for us to be able to be here and just show them how much we appreciate them.
The state of Texas has reported more than 1.9 million coronavirus cases and more than 30,000 deaths since the start of the pandemic. Still to come, a plane took off from an Indonesian airport today and now it's gone missing. And things aren't looking good for the plane's 56 passengers and 6 crew members on board. You'll learn why when we return. Hey. Welcome back to your News at 9. A plane went missing after taking off from an airport in Indonesia. 56 people were on board the Sriwijaya Air passenger jet along with 6 crew members when it took off from the Soekarno-Hatta International Airport in Jakarta today. Almost 1 hour into the 90-minute flight, the plane, which was heading towards Borneo Island, lost contact with the control tower. Search and rescue operations are underway. There have been reports of fishermen spotting metal objects believed to be parts from the plane in the Thousand Islands, which is a chain of islands north of where the jet took off. Indonesia is no stranger to transportation accidents. The country is known to have poorly enforced safety standards. Well, stay right there. We've got a lot more news headed your way, as well as another weather update with meteorologist Nick Kelly and your KOAM Sports Report with Sports Director Jacob Leonard. That's all coming up right here on your KOAM News at 9 on Fox 14. And still to come, you will learn about a chemical plant fire in Pakistan that caused a ton of damage, but fortunately did not take any lives. But residents in a Russian city weren't so lucky after a deadly avalanche killed 3 people and moved some buildings more than 600 feet. Those stories and more are next. A chemical factory has gone up in flames in Pakistan. The fire injured 6 people at the plant in Karachi today. It took more than 20 firefighters to control the fire after the flames spread across the entire factory, burning everything in their path. Documents and instruments were destroyed, but there are no reports of any casualties. At least 3 people are dead following an avalanche at a Siberian ski resort. Emergency workers fought through whipping winter winds in search of survivors after an avalanche pummeled parts of the city of Norilsk in northern Russia. Rescue teams claim to have rescued a 14-year-old boy stuck inside a cabin buried under the snow. Some buildings are unrecognizable and covered under a thick layer of snow, while others were reportedly dragged up to 650 feet by the avalanche. A California woman has been arrested and is facing extradition to New York after a video of her attacking a black teenager over a cell phone went viral. Fox News' Jeff Paul has the latest from Los Angeles.
Okay, I apologize. Can we move on?
The woman who falsely accused a black teenager of stealing her phone is now in jail in California. The Ventura County Sheriff's Office arresting 22-year-old Mia Poncetto during a traffic stop near her home in Piru. Poncetto is believed to be the woman seen on this video, confronting the teenager at the Arlo Hotel in New York City the day after Christmas. The teen's father, Grammy-winning jazz musician Keon Harold, recording the confrontation as the woman demanded to see the teen's phone after he stepped off the elevator. Security video then shows her tackling the teen as he tried to leave through the hotel's front door. An Uber driver later found the woman's phone and returned it to the hotel. Poncetto talking about the now viral confrontation just hours before her arrest.
I was approaching the people that had been exiting the hotel because in my mind, anybody exiting is probably the one that might be the one that is trying to steal my phone.
After the confrontation, there were calls by the teen's family and other activists for Poncetto to face criminal charges.
This is about all of brown, black children that go to establishments and are looked upon as a threat.
The New York City Police Department flew detectives out to California with a warrant for Poncetto's arrest. Deputies say she resisted and had to be forcibly removed from her vehicle. Poncetto is set to be extradited to New York City, where she is expected to be charged with attempted robbery. In Los Angeles, Jeff Paul, Fox News.
We'll be right back with meteorologist Nick Kelly and another look at your weather. Stay tuned.
Even though it was a quiet Saturday, we saw an interesting time lapse from indigo sky just outside of Seneca, Missouri. We actually had some pockets of mist for some this morning, including on top of the camera lens. Once that burned away, though, the mist, that is, we saw partly sunny to mostly cloudy skies, and we just kept things pretty quiet throughout the course of our Saturday. But it still remained cold. No surprise given how cold it was yesterday as well. Mid to upper 30s for highs yesterday, only dropping back into the lower 20s this morning. The best we could do, mid-30s. I think Joplin Regional actually pushed 36 degrees. Still, whether you consider 35 or 36 the high, still below our average high of 44. But we're going to be trending close to that average on Monday and surging above it on Tuesday. What do you see the numbers coming up? For the time being, though, 26 in Joplin, plenty cold out there for sure with an east breeze at 3 miles per hour. Everybody across the area sitting mainly in the middle to upper 20s. And because we have more cloud cover coming in tonight, along with the light north breeze that we saw throughout the day at 5 to 10 miles per hour, that breeze is staying in place. Combine the two together, I don't see us dropping off much more from here on out, maybe another degree or two, but most of us are pretty much where our lows are going to be for the night, middle to upper 20s. Let's look to the west at the Skywatch storm tracker. We have nothing going on here, but out to the west we see snow across central and southeastern Colorado, and more snow developing across the panhandles of Oklahoma, Texas, and back into New Mexico. At the surface, a pretty impressive low-pressure system developing across New Mexico. That's going to stay well to our south, working across Texas. And so will the upper low. That's going to move out of New Mexico, work across Oklahoma and Texas. In fact, watch what this does as we take you into Sunday. We're starting with the future track from the Y view and take you through the rest of the week first before we focus back on our area. Look at this low, plowing across northern parts of Texas. That is cold enough for snow across the northern parts of the state and other areas near the Oklahoma-Texas border. But look at the snow pushing close to Houston. Rarely do we see snow push that far south in the Lone Star State, but that is a little snowstorm we'll have to contend with to wrap up the weekend for us. If we can get any extra moisture in here with the mostly cloudy skies tomorrow, maybe a random flurry, but again, all that action is going to stay well to our south. Turning partly to mostly sunny on Monday, but then look what happens here. A little upper level ridge building in across the west, pushing the jet to our northeast. That pushes us back into the 50s Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. So we better savor those temperatures because our next system on Friday, that might bring in a few random rain or snow showers on Friday, but that will primarily push us back into the 40s as next weekend gets underway. So what Doug's been saying over the past few days, we're kind of in a quiet stretch of the pattern, and that certainly is the case for tonight as we keep quiet, partly to mostly cloudy skies, overnight lows across the region and in Joplin, bottoming out around 25 degrees. We're staying cold but quiet for your Sunday. In fact, a little more sunshine by the afternoon should help us rebound after a cold start. 33 by lunchtime, 37 for the afternoon. Let's go 41 after we start cold at 23 for your Monday, 52 Tuesday, 56 for Wednesday. Enjoying those mild temperatures, relatively speaking, through the middle of the week before. Sticking with Doug's pattern, Mike, we go back into the cooler, looking at 40s again for Friday and Saturday.
All right, thanks so much, Nick Kelly. And stay tuned, sports fans. That's because it's almost time for KOAM Sports Director Jacob Leonard and your KOAM News at 9 Sports Report. Stay tuned.
This weekend is rivalry weekend for Pittsburgh State and Missouri Southern. The two teams meet this afternoon in Pittsburgh for their first of two scheduled meetings. Now on the women's side, Lions and Gorillas both hot right now. They each enter on a 4-game winning streak. A good start from Oso. Carly Turnbull knocks down the 3. 18 for Turnbull in this one. Then freshman Caitlin Honeycutt knocks down the pull-up 3. She had 15. Other end, second quarter, Kaylee DeMitz looking for her shot. Pulls up and hits it. Southern, though, up 10 at half. Now here comes Pitt State in the third. This is the great pass from Sydney Crane to Kaylee DeMitz. DeMitz drops a game-high 25. Late in the third, Jamie Jackson hit 2 huge shots. Gorillas within 2 going to the fourth. I knew this girl was going to show up in here, right? Tristan Gegg. Lead change with that. Gorillas grab their first lead a minute into the fourth. Maya Williams doing the same a few moments later. Gorillas erase a double-digit deficit tonight to get by Southern 70-67. It's the 5th straight win for Pitt State.
When we came out of halftime, we kind of just like, okay, we got it. Like, we just got to get one stop, score, stop. It's just one possession, every time. And Jamie hit those 2 threes. And I think that was really the turning point.
Winning gives you confidence, and so I think right now we're a confident team, and so I think that showed in the second half that we had been in those situations before and we toughed it out this game.
To the men's game now, Gorillas try to get above 500 against the rival Lions. First half, Cam Martin pulls up for 3. Game high 33 points tonight for Martin. Then Stan Scott there for the two-handed jam. Pitt State, though, closes the half strong. Bobby Arthur Williams, corner 3 there. He finishes with 22. Gorillas up 40-32 at halftime. Early third, Martin Votes gets hot, going to the rim and the foul. Then steps out, hits the 3. Pitt State up 15 with 15 minutes to go. Votes, dude just had a great second half. Another 3. He had a team-high 26. 20 of those in the second half. Gorilla men make it a sweep, winning 83-67. Well, it's championship day at the Kaminsky Classic at Joplin High School. The tournament host Eagles are in the title game after going 2-0 in pool play this week. Joplin meets Webb City in the title game. Cards 7-1, ranked 5th in the state in Class 5. Webb City opens scoring up, put back here by Luke Brummett. Cards on top by 4. To the second, dish goes out to All Right. He knocks down the 3. Wright had a game-high 17. Now into the quarter, check it out. Webb City rebounds, but Malik Williams gets the steal. Drops it in off the window at the buzzer. Joplin ends the half on a 15-0 run. They're up 8 at the break. The third quarter, Brummett in the paint and the foul. Webb City within 7. Then Alex Martin with the floater and the foul. Webb City scores 23 in the third, 43 in the second half. Cards are Kaminsky Classic champs, 66-55.
That's a mark of a good team and a senior-led team. Our juniors and seniors really stepped up there and they kept composed. And a lot of teams might struggle in that situation, but these guys, they've been through a lot of tough games, a lot of tight games, and just proud of their effort.
In the Big 12 today, both KU and K-State at home, facing Oklahoma and Oklahoma State. Kansas gets by the Sooners 63-59. Team high 17 points tonight for David McCormick. In Manhattan, Wildcats not able to keep up with the Cowboys, 70-54 the final in that one. That's a look at sports. We'll be back with more news after this.
Welcome back to your News at 9. Let's check in on Hollywood and learn about the latest entertainment headed your way. Here's Fox News' Steve Rappaport with an update from Tinseltown.
I'm a prototype.
Mackie gets an AI upgrade, Gomez returns to the kitchen, and a new doctor arrives in the Hollywood nation.
I've waited months for this.
Fox's prodigal son has added major star power. Oscar winner Catherine Zeta-Jones is joining the cast of the hit serial killer drama as a series regular for its upcoming second season. She will appear in the latter half of the season playing Dr. Vivian Capshaw, the resident MD of Claremont Psychiatric Hospital who is in charge of Dr. Martin Whitley, played by Michael Sheen. The show returns with all new episodes starting January 12th.
Selena, you're a chef!
Selena Gomez reveals when she will return to the kitchen for season 2 of Selena and Chef. The singer and actress announced on Twitter the upcoming season of her hit quarantine cooking show will premiere January 21st on HBO Max. The show will feature Gomez preparing new dishes from home with a virtual guidance from a new lineup of all-star chefs. She will also continue the tradition of donating $10,000 to a charity of her guest chef's choosing at the end of each episode.
Do you know why you're here?
And Netflix has released the trailer to the sci-fi thriller Outside the Wire starring Anthony Mackie. The actor plays an android super soldier who teams up with the disgraced drone pilot tasked with finding a doomsday device in a deadly militarized zone. The movie premieres January 15th.
Welcome to the war, kid.
Steve Rappaport, Fox News.
The pandemic has struck a big blow to film buffs in Southern California. That's because the Sundance Film Festival, which had been planning on drive-in screenings in some California locations, has canceled those screenings because of continuing spikes in COVID-19 cases in the Golden State. Drive-ins were planned at the Rose Bowl in Pasadena and in Montclair, just east of Los Angeles. A drive-in was also planned for San Francisco. Sundance will now be moving those screenings onto digital platforms for the 72 feature and short films over 7 days. There's no shortage of Fox viewers who are big fans of The Masked Singer, so let's check in with one of its stars. Aloe Blacc won second place on Masked Singer Season 4, and Fox News spoke with the star about what he took from the experience and more. Here's Fox News' Ashley Dvorkin.
Singer-songwriter Aloe Blacc, a.k.a. The Masked Singer Season 4 Mushroom, says there are aspects of the show he'll apply to his day job.
I know my lyrics. I've memorized them. Sometimes I could be singing to an audience and thinking about what I'm going to eat for dinner later, right? And you can't, I just realized with this show, what you have to give in order to project and present through a costume, through this masked singer personality is so much. You can't phone it in. You've got to be present 100% of the time. That's the way I'm gonna take it back to what I do on stage.
Blacc goes into 2021 with new music, including an uplifting collaboration with Steve Aoki of his song My Way.
It's my favorite version of My Way. It's one of those kind of beautiful moments where I get to jump back into the dance music genre and the pop music genre with a really, really amazing DJ.
He released a personal and intimate collection called All Love Everything in October.
I feel like these messages of togetherness, of connection, of love and compassion are really important. So the songs on my album really talk about that.
And for those who may join Masked Singer Season 5, Aloe's advice, stay in character.
If you don't keep that character all throughout the season, you break character and start to become too much of yourself, people will guess who you are right away.
Ashley Dvorkin, Fox News.
We are not done yet here on your KOAM News at 9 on Fox 14. And when we return, we're going to wrap the show in one of my favorite ways with a bunch of animal stories. That includes a trip to this zoo in India where a baby hippo was celebrating turning 2 years old. Stay tuned. An animal shelter in the Lone Star State is having trouble finding folks looking to adopt their four-legged friends, and they say the pandemic is a big part of the problem. Fox News' Steven Sarabia takes a look.
Nala right here is one of the many dogs who was recently given to the shelter in December, and because of this increase, they're looking for new adopters.
A desperate need for adopters can be found at the Williamson County Regional Animal Shelter.
We are full with dogs at the moment.
Over the past couple weeks, dogs like Nala have been handed over to the shelter at a very high rate.
Right now, we're basically at the peak of the number of dogs that we can manage with our teams divided up the way that they are for COVID.
April Pfeiffer with the shelter tells us the issue isn't so much the space at the shelter, but rather the pandemic.
We have our staff divided into teams so that we can ensure that we have healthy staff members at all times.
Right now, there's about 4 people to manage the 99 dogs all day at the shelter. and it's beginning to strain operations.
What we need from the community is adopters to step forward. Now's the time.
While the shelter won't turn away animals, they're asking if you come across a stray to try and find the owner yourself.
There's lots of resources available to people these days. Facebook has lots of lost and found groups that you can post the animal in. You can have the animal scanned for a microchip by any veterinarian. Also, PetSmarts and places like that will scan for microchips.
If you own a dog and are thinking about surrendering it, the shelter urges you to call them first.
We've got lots of resources that we can provide to the community to help them overcome problems in the home that may be what are forcing them to make those decisions.
Scientists continue to marvel at the discovery of dwarf giraffes after 2 dwarf giraffes are spotted on different sides of Africa. Typically, giraffes grow to be about 15 to 20 feet tall, but in 2018, scientists working at the Giraffe Conservation Foundation discovered an 8.5-foot giraffe in Nambia. 3 years earlier, a 9-foot 3-inch giraffe was spotted in an Ugandan wildlife park. In this footage, the dwarf giraffes appear to be considerably shorter than their normal-sized counterparts, with short, stumpy legs. Scientists at the Giraffe Conservation Foundation published their findings in the British Medical Journal last month.
Giraffe are definitely in peril. We call it the silent extinction, getting more awareness and education. And while we do such interesting research that pops up with dwarf giraffe, we're really trying to figure out what's going on in each country, helping governments and other partners to put together better conservation management practices.
There are 4 species of giraffe, and they've all been classified by conservationists as vulnerable. The number of giraffes in the world has declined by about 40% during the last 3 decades. A zoo in India celebrated a young hippo's birthday on Friday. The birthday hippo, Mongol, celebrated turning 2 years old with his mother, Dimpy, at the Saija Brag Zoo with a tasty celebration, and visitors were even able to join in on the festivities. Zookeepers allowed them a chance to feed the mother and son hippos some sweet treats. And the 2-year-old hippo's birthday wasn't the only cause for celebration at that zoo. Friday also marked the 141st anniversary of the day the zoo opened. So, congrats to the zoo and that hippo. And finally, here is some news you might find cool if you are a sucker for dogs like I am. There's a new official dog breed. The American Kennel Club has announced that the newest breed of dog is the Beaver Terrier. This new pup in town is now the 197th officially recognized dog breed, and that recognition allows the newest model of terrier to compete in events including the Westminster Kennel Club show. So, new terrier, go get them. All right. Thanks so much for tuning in this Saturday evening. We'll see you tomorrow for more KOAM News at 9 on Fox 14. And as always, stay safe out there.